Hey everyone, welcome. Rabid Mining here. And well, BBT did it. He hit 82.959, which is pretty much 83 mega hash with a 6800 non-XT. He did actually put an update here after the video. It's definitely a bug he's stating. I disabled 4G decoding, bar in the BIOS, rebooted, DDU'd the drivers, which means he uninstalled them if you're not too sure what that means. Reinstalled drivers, tested without Smart Access Memory, SAM, then tested again with it back on, and now back to 1 GPU still. So now it's only reading 1 GPU for him instead of the 2. And he's looking to see if something else I was doing caused it to pop 2 instances of the miner. The limited time out he was running it, it was in fact getting 80 mega hash at the pool. So these numbers are correct at the pool as he was mining with this. And I had both compute 0 and compute 1 under load in the GPU miner. Now I just have to get compute 0 with the single thread. Bottom line, bug or not, there is headroom here for the dev to enable that second thread officially. So he found something out here. He got it to work at this mega hash. He reinstalled everything and now it's back to a single GPU again instead of the 2 here. I will have the link. You guys can check out his video. Stay up to date. If you're not sub to him, you may as well be sub to him because he's always out there. He does hard. He works hard and he gets everything going. He is the OG of crypto mining. But how he did this, this isn't about BBT. This is how he hit this mega hash. Actually, this video is more about what is SAM technology and how is it going to affect crypto mining in the future and what can we look forward to. And it looks like it could be a pretty exciting road. Here we are on AMD's website. And well, when they first announced everything on their little ordeal there last month, their show they put, as soon as I heard about this SAM thing they're doing, first thing I thought about was, I wonder how that's going to react with crypto mining. Is that processor actually going to boost the cards and help it mine better? Well, it looks like BBT is making that seem like a yes, but it's quite interesting here. Let's just read about it for a quick second. As you can see, the GIF they got going on here. But in conventional Windows-based PC systems, processors can only access a fraction of graphics memory, VRAM, and once limiting system performance. With AMD System Access Memory, the data channel gets expanded to harness the full potential of GPU memory, utilizing the bandwidth of PCI Express to remove the bottlenecks and increase performance. So they pretty much talk back to each other, and it opens up, here it doesn't say it. Over here, we're going to look at this article. One of the biggest new additions to the R6000 series cards is Smart Access Memory, SAM, which is AMD's branded implementation of the PCI Express resizable bar feature baked into recent builds of Windows 10 and Linux. Now, SAM allows support processors to directly access all 16 gigabytes of video memory on the Radeon 6800 and 6800 XT. Now note this, all 16 gigabytes. If you look back here, he got it working using 9 on 2 processors there. So 9 of 16. So we're still only using like 60%. So could there be future improvement to even pull more out? That is an explanation that we only have to wait for. I'm sure BBT will figure that out, as well as miners and everything being updated and optimized for these cards. But the future is looking brighter and brighter every day. Okay, I'd just like to highlight this line here. Is currently AMD Smart Access Memory is a feature for systems with AMD Ryzen 5000 series processors, AMD B550 and X570 motherboards, and the R6000 series graphics cards. There are no technical limitations to support SAM on other platforms. Now that is quite interesting. We'll get to that in a minute, but other than supported certain features that are part of the PCI Express and firmware standards, SAM leverages the AMD device's resizable bar feature and has been validated. We also tuned the driver to deliver optimal game performance with Ryzen 5000 series processors and Radeon RX 6000 series graphics cards. We're excited to show how it will improve PC gaming. Now, what that's pretty much meaning is when AMD first released this, it came out like they just made it so their processor and their cards put together will just blow everything away, is how they made it sound. Now, it's quite interesting to find out after doing other research. AMD actually did not invent this type of technology. They were just the first to adapt it. And they're actually helping out Intel and Nvidia on, to a point. They're not going to help them perfect it. they might kind of kick them through the door a little bit and help them out. Because there's a lot of questions floating around saying, well, what's going to happen if you put a 6000 with an Intel CPU and all that? Well, it's not going to work because the Intel CPUs just don't have the technology working yet. And we'll get into more explanation on that in the future, but it is sounding like they're helping them out. And pretty soon everything will be cross-compatible, and that'll kind of take away AMD's big boost. But obviously they have amazing processors right now, so we don't really have anything to worry about from Intel in the near future. But further down the road, it looks like you'll be able to do this SAM technology with any combination between cards and CPUs. But I'll just show you what's going on here. So as an example of what SAM can do, here we have an AMD Radeon RX 6800 XT breaks the 3D Mark Fire Strike world record with a 2.65 gigahertz overclock on air. So the card is using air, and it beat a 3090 on LN2, which is liquid nitrogen cooled. So that's pretty crazy coming from AMD right now. Especially when the 3090 is just nuts. But here's the platform they used. AMD used a Ryzen 9 5950X, which is their big boy processor right now. Overclocked to 5.2. It was on LM2, which the CPU is on nitrogen. And we got a godlike motherboard, 16 gig of DDR4 memory, running at 4000 megahertz CL14 timers, which is as fast as you can get. If you're mining Monero, this is what you want to do. And a 1200 watt power supply. While the CPU was running on LN cooling nitrogen, the GPU was overclocked to 2.65 gigahertz on its reference triple fan air cooling. So air cooled, nothing magical going into the card. Now in terms of performance, the 6800 XT at 2.65 scored 47,932 points in 3D Mark Fire Strike, which is currently now the world record for any single GPU graphics card. Now that's pretty amazing coming out of AMD. The GeForce RTX 3090 in comparison when overclocked to 2.38 GHz on liquid nitrogen was only able to score 47,725. Now this is the first time in a long while that AMD has managed to pounce Nvidia in core clocks. The lead is less than 0.5% for the RX 6800 XT, but air cooling versus liquid nitrogen cooling makes quite a huge for AMD. Now with that said, the RX 6800 XT isn't even the top AMD GPU, and that title will be given to the RX 6900 XT, which launches next month. So I'm really interested to see what this thing's going to be doing for numbers, especially with this SAM coming out, or that SAM enabled with AMD's processor and cards. Now we can expect the 6900 XT to offer even faster performance when overclocked on air, and there's a good chance with liquid nitrogen these cards will be able to breach the 50K Fire Strike barrier, setting a new bar for overclockers and future GPUs. So that's pretty amazing, going from how AMD has kind of been behind, coming out and actually taking that SAM technology, linking their CPUs, and they're just dominating the CPU market now. Intel's, I don't know what happened. They just threw everything in the garbage and smashed their heads against a couple doors or something. But anyway, it's pretty amazing how they have them talking to each other. They're working good with each other, the card and the CPU, and coming out with some pretty amazing benchmarks now. Now let's get into the future of what everything could hold for all of us, whether you're a gamer or a miner. Okay, so now we have AMD is happy to help Intel and Nvidia enable smart access memory, but they're not going to help too much. So in context, smart access memory, or SAM, is a software hardware trick that takes advantage of a PCI Express feature called base address register. So far, only AMD is using with their current RX 6000 GPUs to eke out a little extra performance. It lets the CPU feed information directly into the entire video memory buffer instead of just a small portion of it. The result is about a 5 to 10% performance improvement, depending on the title, which isn't insignificant. Now, when AMD announced smart access technology on its latest GPUs, it sounded like SAM required close cooperation between the CPU and GPU. Consequently, it was launched as a new feature that only works when AMD 6000 GPUs are paired with AMD 5000 CPUs. Nvidia, however, believes that a form of SAM could be implemented universally as long as all manufacturers can agree on some standards, since it does rely on a PCI Express feature. PC World AMD's Scott Herkelman, I butchered that. If AMD think that that's possible, and to what extent AMD would support standardization. That's pretty much from that interview is they're telling AMD to, whoa, slow down so we can standardize this so we can all catch up. Stop whooping our asses. It's pretty much what that sounds like. So is AMD going to slow down and set a standard so everybody can use this, or are they just going to keep on going and pull farther away on the racetrack? And this brings us to our last article here, and this is where the question came up. As soon as AMD announced this, what would happen if you paired Intel CPU with a 6000 series GPU? Well, it just won't work because those CPUs don't have that technology in them yet. But in the future, because that would definitely make just a expensive mining build. You have to buy the brand new CPUs from Ryzen and put them all together, and just CPU prices and everything at this state, it'll just be expensive to build a rig. On top of that, I'm still not 100% sure. I think this article mentions it somewhere. Oh yeah, here's the PCI ones. But I'm wondering, is it a PCI 4? Do you need like actually more bandwidth? Are we going to need newer mining motherboards to support a higher speed other than just Gen 1 that we are currently using? Like, do we need more bandwidth going through each slot? So that could change everything also heading into the future. But right now, we'll just take a look at this article here, and AMD will bring smart access memory support to Intel Nvidia hardware. So when AMD announced its SAM, it sounded as if the company had finally designed a method of allowing Ryzen CPUs and GPUs to specifically work together in order to deliver higher performance, and either could have been achieved together. I think I read that wrong. It didn't really make sense. But anyway, skip that. Thanks to a recent PC World interview, we have an answer. According to AMD, it has people on the Ryzen team working to get SAM working on Nvidia GPUs. Well, there are people on the Radeon team working with Intel to get the feature functional with Intel CPUs and chipsets. If AMD is comfortable making this kind of announcement, it implies that there's reciprocity. Oh my gosh, I gotta learn how to read. In these arrangements, meaning we'll see cross-platform, cross-vendor support. Though we haven't heard anything about Nvidia-Intel cooperation, it only makes sense for the two companies to work together. However, since the alternative amounts to giving AMD a free performance advantage. So right now AMD is in the lead. Obviously, we all know this, but this confirms that SAM isn't an AMD-specific technology as such. Though AMD has done the work of enabling the feature before anyone else did, resizable bar capability, that's the PCI Express specification name for SAM, was initially baked into the PCIe 2 standard in 2008 before being modified in revisions to PCIe 3 in 2016. Microsoft added support for the features in Windows 10 when it introduced Windows Display Driver Model 2.0, but evidently no GPU vendors supported it until now. If this were an AMD-specific technology, one might suspect that the company had to design Zen 3 and or RDNA 2 to use it. The fact that support can apparently be extended to Intel and Nvidia hardware implies the feature either wasn't viewed as being worth the trouble, or that the companies in question weren't aware it could deliver a real uplift in performance until someone actually tested it. The latter would be rather droll. According to AMD, there's some work required to support the features appropriately, implying we may not see it enabled immediately on Intel and Nvidia platforms. It'll be interesting to see what kind of performance we see other platforms and hardware pick up from enabling this capability. Intel might benefit more than AMD or vice versa, and AMD GPUs might benefit more than Nvidia cards or the reverse. So it's quite interesting to see what's going on here. It could be all interchangeable sometime in the future, which would dramatically drop prices if it does get implemented on, say, the Celeron processors in the future. Now, as for motherboard support, that still be some. It could be expensive at first, but all this stuff is still up in the air. This is just some information I thought a lot of people might like to know about if you don't already. So thanks for watching. I hope this video helped anybody out at all, and Catch you guys on the next one. Rabid out.